Hello, good morning. It is Sunday, November 5th, and welcome to Coffee with Craig. Now, as we know, this is pre-recorded. But I did want to let you guys know. So a lot of you guys have asked about the national rally that's taken place. It's going to be taking place at a number of capitals throughout the nation. Wanted to let you know, if you're looking for information this morning on where you're supposed to go or where you're supposed to be, it's real simple. Just go to Facebook, put in hashtag 2A Rally 2017. There's a Facebook page there. It's got a link to all of the Facebook pages for all the states that have rallies going on today. So if you're looking for something to do, if you're looking for, figure out how to, which rallies going on in your state and where it's going on, all you got to do, go there and you'll find it. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that if you were looking for it. On to today's topic. So the city of Chicago did what a lot of municipalities do, or a lot of states do. And one of the things they do is they have these things called trace reports. And in these trace reports, the whole goal is to try and identify exactly where guns came from that are used or involved in crimes. At least that's what it's supposed to be. Now, unfortunately, what it's generally used as, it's used as a way in which to go after federal firearms licensees or firearms retailers to say, look, you are bad. Your guns eventually wound up being used in crimes. It's really a way in which to go after those who legally sell firearms, who basically facilitate the exercise of a constitutionally enumerated right. Now, there's a number of things, a number of issues in particular with these particular surveys that they wind up doing, these trace studies, that they seem to skip over when it comes to taking a look at what sort of policies need to be implemented. Some of the things that they forget to include, and I'll take these numbers came specifically from the Cook County, or from the one that was done there in Chicago. One of the things that they forget is like 13.2% of the firearms that were recovered from juveniles. Now, juveniles are not allowed to own or possess firearms, which once again just goes to show you that the mere fact that they are in possession of the firearms demonstrates that they have violated a crime. It's also noted that 94.7% of the firearms that are recovered are not recovered from the original owner or from the original purchaser. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that the firearms retailers are legally selling these firearms to individuals. Now, what is happening with those firearms is a whole different story. Whether they are being stolen, whether they are whether the individuals buying are straw purchasers, clearly somebody violated a crime or broke the law in order to obtain this firearm. Now, the results of these particular studies is, well, they want to go after certain retailers. They want to say, well, X retailer sold a huge percentage of, or an inordinate percentage of the firearms that were used in crimes. But what they fail to recognize is that particular firearm retailer were all of the transactions that they conducted legal? Were they legal? If there are a disproportionate number of straw purchasers who are purchasing their firearms from those particular dealers, well, then maybe you need to take a look at who's buying the firearms, not who's selling the firearms. Because the person who's selling the firearms, well, they're not breaking the law unless they are knowingly participating in these particular in a straw purchase. And as far as I've seen, I haven't seen any accusations that any of these individuals are knowingly participating in straw purchasing. I see kind of a hint that they're hinting at that, but I don't even see them making a clear, direct accusation. But see, and once again, this all goes back to a specific plot and plan in order to make it so that it's more difficult for us to be able to exercise our constitutional rights. See, they believe that you may have a right to own a firearm, but you don't necessarily have a right to buy one. You don't necessarily have a right to sell one. So if they can basically make sure that, well, you have a right to own one, you just got to figure out how to get one legally. Well, there you go. That's the whole plan, and that's the whole plan, and that's the whole plot behind some of the stuff that they're doing. Now, some of them, just to be real, look, their whole thing is they want to end gun violence, and all they care about is they don't care about who they hurt in the process. They don't care about whose rights they violate in the process. So I say that to say that their desire may be coming from a good place, but when it results in disarming law-abiding citizens or making it so that law-abiding citizens aren't able to exercise their right, their fundamental human right to be able to defend themselves, well, then they violated a much greater law, one that we need to make sure that they aren't allowed to violate. So we always need to make sure, once again, when we're looking at these studies, we always need to make sure what is the intent of the people who are doing them. Because a lot of times the intent of the people who are doing the studies can tell you a lot about what the results of the studies are going to be. We also need to stop and we need to take a look at what is the fundamental information that they're using. What's the data that's going into some of these studies? Because let's just be real, when it comes to statistical analysis, garbage in, garbage out. If your raw data, the data that you're utilizing is flawed, and oftentimes in these cases it is flawed because their original intent is in fact flawed, well, then guess what? Your study is going to be flawed. Well, at least flawed in terms of telling the truth, maybe not flawed in terms of helping you to be able to promote and perpetuate the anti-Second Amendment lie that they're desiring to perpetuate. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. That's today's topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you folks have a good rest of your weekend and enjoy the rallies today. Take care, have fun, stay free.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.